The moment she walked through the door, the scent slammed into me like a fist. It wasn't her usual light floral fragrance, the one that had practically become part of who she was. No, this time it was mine. The cologne I'd worn for years clung to her like a silent accusation. "Welcome home," I forced out, each word scraping its way up my throat like shards of glass. "How was the trip, Sarah?" My wife of 6 years flashed a smile that didn't touch her eyes. It looked as if it had been drawn on with shaking hands. Stiff, fragile, fake. Amazing. We had such a blast. "You wouldn't believe it," she replied in a chipper tone, letting her weekend bag hit the floor with a heavy thud that echoed far louder than it should have in a quiet house. That sound settled into a silence that had long since stopped feeling peaceful. This so-called girl's weekend had gnawed at the edges of my mind for weeks. The late-night whispers, her phone tilted away from my line of sight, those nervous glances whenever I asked a simple question. And now, the unmistakable trace of my own cologne on her skin slammed the final nail into the coffin. I tried to hold my mask in place, though the weight of it was becoming suffocating. "Glad you had fun," I said, stretching a smile I didn't feel. "Dinner's almost done." I watched her drift into the kitchen we had chosen tile for together, argued over cabinet colors, filled with memories and quiet laughter. A space that once pulsed with warmth now felt tarnished. Her every move seemed off, foreign somehow. Those familiar hands, slicing vegetables, pouring wine, setting the table, all felt rehearsed, like someone playing a role she barely remembered. Dinner became a hollow ritual. We traded shallow comments about the weather, petty office gossip, even the damn bathroom faucet. We never got around to fixing everything but the one thing neither of us dared to say. All the while, a storm coiled tighter in my gut, a twisting snarl of anger and dread. I couldn't stop the images clawing at my mind. Her tangle with some stranger, his scent now poisoning my home, my wife. I wanted to smash my fists into the table. I wanted to shout until my throat bled. But I didn't. Instead, I sat in icy silence, simmering in quiet determination. A storm was coming, yes, but I wouldn't charge into it blind. I needed certainty. I needed undeniable proof. When she slipped upstairs to unpack, I disappeared into our walk-in closet, my refuge. My side had always been a reflection of my mind, neat, in order. I wasn't searching for anything. I just needed a moment to breathe, to gather myself. But then I saw it, stuffed behind a pile of her winter scarves, a leather jacket I'd never seen before. It was thick, expensive-looking, and definitely not mine. I pulled it free, slow and careful, as though it might explode in my hands. The scent hit me at once, a blend of sandalwood and something cold, sharp, almost metallic. Masculine. My hand trembled as I held it, the weight of it sinking into my bones. I staggered back, the room spinning. This wasn't suspicion anymore. This was real, solid, betrayal woven into every stitch of leather. I let the jacket fall and stared at it, my vision swimming, my breath shallow. My chest felt as though it had caved in. I slid down to the floor, leaning against the closet door, heart split wide open. I didn't yell. I didn't break down. I just stopped. Silence swallowed me whole, and a numbness settled in like a slow-acting sedative. And strangely, that dead weight felt easier to carry than the stabbing burn of heartbreak. I sat there for a long time, letting the stillness hold me. But beneath that calm, something began to take shape, a plan. The next morning, I put the mask back on. I went to work, answered emails, even forced a laugh when a co-worker dropped a bad joke in the break room. But under it all, a cold fire simmered, steady and patient. She seemed oblivious, unaware of the noose quietly tightening around her world. She even picked a fight about the laundry, claimed I'd mixed whites with darks again. The nerve of it stung, but I didn't rise to the bait. I just smiled, nodded. Then Saturday came. I told her I'd be working late that night. Instead, I drove straight to the gym, pouring every ounce of fury into metal and sweat. Every rep felt like a silent oath. Every breath forged a quiet vow. I refused to fall apart. I would face this, not with weakness, not with anger, but with unshakable control. My mind had to stay sharp. As evening settled over the city, streaking the skyline with burnt orange and dull gray, I parked a few blocks from her office. Saturdays, her supposed late work nights. I already knew who I'd find there. I stayed cloaked in shadow, eyes locked on the glass doors that reflected more than just city lights. The second I saw him, I knew. Tall, smug, wearing that leather jacket, like it was some kind of shield. He moved with that arrogant swagger only men bloated with self-importance possess. My gut tightened. I started walking, slow, steady, deliberate. "Hey!" I called out, my voice like cold iron. He stopped, turning halfway. "I think you've got something that belongs to my wife." He faced me fully then, a smirk curling at the edges of his mouth, soaked in arrogance. "I'm not sure I follow." I slid a photo from my pocket, digital evidence I'd pulled straight from her phone. I held it out to him. Her face, flushed with excitement, his arm wrapped around her like a shackle. His smirk vanished, washed away by creeping panic. "Does the jacket look familiar?" I asked, my voice even. "My wife clearly appreciates your fashion sense. Makes me wonder, what else have you taken?" His eyes darted left, right, searching for a way out. He opened his mouth, but I wasn't interested in his excuses. Let's not turn this into a scene. I grabbed his collar and yanked him into the alleyway. It was brutal, fast, a messy dance of fists and raw fury. Every punch I landed felt like purging poison from my veins, a physical release of storm inside me. He barely fought back, more a cowering coward than any kind of fighter. I didn't stop until my knuckles split, and he lay crumpled, gasping for air. His bravado? Gone. His expression told the story. Predator turned prey, eyes wild with fear, lips quivering. I leaned in close, my words dripping with venom. "Stay away from my wife, or I'll make sure there's a sequel." I crushed his phone under my boot, the crunch of shattered circuits echoing off the walls. Then I walked away, leaving him sprawled in pieces, his confidence shattered, a faint echo of the damage he'd done to me. At home, Sarah sat curled up on the couch, half watching some trashy show. She glanced up, her annoyance thinly masked. "Where were you?" I was worried. "Worried?" I echoed, my voice low, sharp with quiet rage. I walked past her, into our bedroom. I dragged her suitcase from the closet and dropped it hard on the bed. "Take a good look," I said flatly. "See anything familiar?" Her eyes landed on the jacket. The color drained from her face. Then came the photo, tossed onto the bed like a knife. She scrambled, words tumbling out, excuses, lies, desperate flailing. A co-worker, a misunderstanding, just a friend. But her story caved in on itself, collapsing under the weight of undeniable truth. I watched her expression shift, mask slipping, lies dissolving. "I'm done," I said, calm, steady, absolute. "You're leaving tonight." She broke, begging, crying, swearing up and down she could change, that she could fix this. But I felt nothing. Her tears no longer held any power over me. I stood motionless, silent as she packed. Her hands shook, her breathing hitched. I didn't help. I didn't offer a single word of comfort. She didn't deserve it. I watched her cross the doorway, a hollow-shelled woman I once trusted, exposed, defeated, gone. And in the space her absence left behind, I found something unexpected, a strange, icy calm. The anger hadn't faded. It had simply hardened, clean, precise, sharp. I wouldn't let her betrayal rewrite who I was. She broke something inside me, but from those shattered pieces, I built something stronger. And as I stood there in the echo of that empty house, with nothing but the truth and silence around me, I realized I didn't belong to her anymore. I wasn't broken. I was finally free.